as you know, dance is not just about the music and the of
Yeah,
course, it's about the music and the
yeah,
body, you know, but
yeah,
it brings something inside. Like if it
yeah,
invokes an emotion, then
yeah,
you are connecting with it in a different way. Even though sometimes, it's a Punjabi dance form, which
yeah.
is from the north of India, and
Welcome to episode 108. I hope you enjoy listening to her as much as I enjoyed chatting to her. I met her late last year through a workshop I'd facilitated at the Yoga Roots, and she was actually behind my deciding to give live circles a go again for, now it's the full moon, we'd started out with half moon. But she's such a delightful human, and she teaches meditation, and she teaches Bhangra dance, and being Indian Irish, London born, now living in Ireland, it I cannot tell you what a joy it is to be learning a kind of Indian dance that my ancestors might have known, but because of colonisation, my Goan part of the family were Catholic, just like my Irish part of the family, from the Portuguese colonising Goa hundreds of years ago. Um, but there was something in the taster session that just helped me feel doubly rooted. I am a terrible dancer, really, really bad. I'm really looking forward to the classes starting and going whenever I can. But I can't describe the joy. Even now, this is weeks later, I'm recording it in April. Um, it was just such a joy. If you're local enough to Westport, give them a go. Check out Grit Fitness and check out Akriti's Insta at Bhangra underscore Westport. But wherever you are, remember movement is to be enjoyed. Movement is a pleasure. We've been conditioned to think we have to exercise, we have to go to the gym, we have to do all these things. We want to, when we listen to our bodies, when we connect with what feels good and remind ourselves that joy is everyone's birthright. Sending so much joy out, sending so much love out, and I hope you enjoy the episode.
If you're a trauma survivor and AuDHD like me, or simply find self-care more of a should than a joy, then the Soul to Soul Care for Trauma and AuDHD podcast is for you. I'm Eve Menezes Cunningham, a trauma therapist, AuDHD and self-care coach, senior accredited supervisor and counsellor, columnist and author of 365 Ways to Feel Better, Self-Care Ideas for Embodied Wellbeing. Each Tuesday, I share a mix of solo episodes and conversations with other self-care professionals, from other therapists, coaches, yoga teachers and authors, to neuroscientists and medical professionals. Many of them are neurodivergent themselves, and all are honest enough to share the gap between their ideal and actual daily self-care. And I hope that it will help you learn to love and care for all of your parts, including trauma and AuDHD, from the soles of your feet to your soul. You can also sign up for bonus content and polyvagal informed journal prompts and more for Mila Buika's Mondays, my free newsletter, via the website soul2soul.ie. So that's souls to soul, SOLESTOSOUL.ie. Let me know if you've got any questions, and thank you for listening. Thank you so much for joining me, Aakriti Kaushik. Have I pronounced that correctly?
yes, you have, yeah.
Okay. I am so happy to have you here because we've kind of linked in a few different ways. And most recently, I attended your amazing Bhangra dance workshop in Westport in Ireland. And I'm still beaming remembering it, even though I thought to myself in the day, it's like, I'm going to practice. They were really, like you called them, really simple. I got kind of all tangled up. But I was thinking, if I practice, 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 then when you start doing regular classes, I immediately forgot. But it was so much fun. And I met you through a workshop I was facilitating at the yoga route, and it was our conversation. Then after that, messaging that led me to start doing the Westport Lunar Circles. It's an absolute pleasure to have you on the Souls to Soul Care for Trauma and AuDHD podcast. And would you like to say a little bit about what you're working on, where you'd like people to find you?
Sure. Well, first of all, thank you so much, Eve, for inviting me. And it was such a pleasure to connect with you. And it was, one of those things where you are kind of finding your space. Because so just for the background, I moved to Ireland, to the west of Ireland, properly last year in summer, because I had been visiting my partner for a while, but I was still living in England, in Birmingham. And when I moved, one of the first things was to find my tribe of,
Yeah.
wellness and people who were into yoga and breath work. And so it was such a pleasure to meet you. And then, our conversation about the lunar circles. And so I am a meditation teacher and I'm a writer. My day job involves a lot of writing work, and I work for an engineering company, but I've been working within the electronics distribution space for about 15 years now. But my heart was always in, wellness practices. And I started my meditation journey back in 2015 when I went on a silent retreat in India. Um, and it just blew me away. And, it was just one of those things that was the starting point of me
Yeah.
getting into. And then I trained as a meditation teacher with the British School of Meditation. I started some work with the NHS, a few hospitals. And during the pandemic and after, I was working with the critical care unit within the hospitals, just doing group meditation sessions. And then after that, I happened to discover Bhangra as a dance form in my local gym. And the first session made me feel like, wow, why have I not done this before? And when I took the decision to move to Ireland last year, I was a bit sad to know that there's nothing like Bhangra in that part. I mean, there's a few Bhangra places in Dublin, but
Yeah.
that just inspired me to go ahead and do the dance instructor training myself. And again, it's one of those things where it's like, oh, wow, I'm so scared. Will I be able to do it? And I did. And yeah, and I did my first taster session last month at Grit in
Yeah.
Westport. It was an
Yeah.
absolute fun.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It was amazing. Hadn't realized that it was like, I want to do more of this. I'm going to become an instructor. There's nothing like, yeah, that's brilliant. So, where can people find more about your offerings?
So this is again one of those things where I have not been a social media user for nearly 3 years now.
Yeah.
Completely disconnected because I just wanted to go inwards properly, and I
Yeah.
wanted to just have that time. But now I've realized that, for me to be able to connect with people who would like
Yeah.
to do Bhangra. So I'm on Instagram at the moment, and it's called Bhangra Westport. So that's where people can find me.
So there'll be a link to that in the show notes, and I'll be following you and sharing your amazing stuff. I honestly, I think for me, I know this sounds like strange. My mum, she was born and raised in Kenya, but her family's from Goa, and Goa was colonized by the Portuguese, and they kind of spoke a kind of 16th century Portuguese and then English and not Konkani, which would have been the language. Of course, Irish was lost from the Irish side in terms of, so there was something about an Indian dance class in Ireland that it just still like my little like I feel a little bit tearful, to be honest. It was just so gorgeous. Yeah. So
I'm
I'm
glad
not going to
I'm glad to hear
cry.
that because it's as you know, dance is not just about the music and the of
Yeah,
course, it is about the music and
yeah,
the but
yeah,
it brings something inside. Like if it
yeah,
invokes an emotion, then
yeah,
you are connecting with it in a different way. Even though sometimes it's a Punjabi dance form, which
yeah,
is from the north of India, and the words may not mean anything.
yeah,
sometimes I listen to some Spanish music and I don't really fully understand what, but there's
Yeah,
something that invokes in me. And so
yeah,
it's beautiful
yeah,
if that
yeah.
happens for you.
And you were saying that it is about joy, and it is, do you want to say a little bit about that actually? Or
Sure, yeah. So it is one of those dance forms that used to traditionally happen during the harvest season
yeah,
in villages in the north of India in the Punjab region, and it is a dance for celebrating new seasons.
yeah,
It is a song like a song and dance for harvest. So there is a joyful vibe. There is
yeah,
a very enthusiastic positivity associated with it. And of all the people I have come across in my classes or, the people I have trained with, the sessions I used to go to, not one person has said that they came into the class and didn't get out smiling and laughing. Because it's one of those things where, okay, you leave everything behind for
yeah,
those 45 minutes. And also, I think I said this during our taster session as well. The energy of doing something like that, it's called, collective effervescence. I picked it
yeah,
up somewhere else, but it's like we are
yeah,
all doing it together. We're all laughing and smiling and going wrong together. And
Mhm.
it's the energy of that it just invokes a lot of joy. And I think that
Yeah,
is really, really needed, especially in times today when, there's so much
absolutely.
happening, and we have forgotten to,
Yeah,
just
yeah,
proactively bring that joy. So yeah.
yeah. Okay. So ideal and actual self-care, that kind of the things that help you regulate. What would you do? And I know part of your answer, and I'm so excited about this because I think you're the first person. I mean, not all of the episodes have been interviews, but it'll be episode 108, and I think yours most closely aligns your ideal and your actual. So, would you like to say a bit about the Feel Love Heal framework I developed? The feel bit is the lowercase self-care, the regulatory, the things we do when we have the bandwidth. The love bit is that kind of we're part of the divine, we're part of nature. There's no need to change anything. Just love, accept, support yourself exactly as you are, which of course can feel really challenging, especially with trauma and AuDHD. But it's the practices then that help you connect with the divine if that's something people do. And then the heal is using what hurts your heart to turn it into action and through community, through collective care, co-regulation. So yeah.
Yeah. So this has been a journey. It
Hmm.
hasn't happened overnight for me, but I was going through a challenging time around the pandemic because none of my family are based in England, and my mom was going through a challenging period at the time, and because of the flights not
Yeah.
running, I was not able to see her,
Mm.
and it just pushed me and forced me into a time where I had to, out of necessity, come up with self-care for
Yeah.
myself. And having had an established meditation practice was, of course,
Yeah.
a good baseline for doing that.
Mm.
But it wasn't easy, and it was one of those things where I think being a perfectionist and always trying to chase perfection really worked in my favor because I started with just creating a routine, going to bed at the same time, waking up at the same time.
Hmm.
Uh, and I included four main practices
Yeah.
for my own self-care. And one was reading a
Yeah.
lot. And not reading on screens, but actual books.
Yeah.
Um, and writing. I was part of Writers HQ, which are an organization here in the UK who organize retreats for writers. And I was the writing retreat rep for them in
Okay.
Birmingham. But we couldn't do that during the pandemic
Yeah.
because everything was shut. But I still carried on doing online retreats and lots of journaling every time. There used to be a trigger or a challenging moment. I have, I think, maybe like seven journals now that are
Yeah.
filled up from pages from writing.
Yeah.
Then the third was meditation and breath work, myself, my own practice. and just making sure that I don't miss a single day.
Yeah.
And the fourth one was some kind of movement.
Yeah.
It could be walking, nature walking, or yoga, or something that just gets me moving. And I have to say that there were days where I would wake up and feel like, no, I didn't wake up at 5 this morning. And the reason I had to do all of those things
Yeah.
between 5 and 9 in the morning was because I had to be at work from 9
Yeah.
o'clock onwards. And I'm a morning person. So
Okay.
that's a natural thing. It's not something that, I enjoy waking up in
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
morning. But there were days when I would not be able to wake up till sometimes 7, 8,
Yeah.
because the body is just not, it's not there. And
Yeah.
um, initially I would beat myself up for it, and I
Hmm.
would be like, just because it was the perfectionism that was going on, that, I failed. But
Yeah.
I think now, since 2021 onwards, I
Yeah.
have tried to maintain that as much as possible. On the days when I'm not able to do it, I'm just, okay, today we are only going to do the meditation
Yeah.
and the journaling. Let's
Yeah.
not do the other two bits, and that's
Yeah.
absolutely fine. Um, and then when I moved to Ireland last year, to be with my partner, that's when the big shift happened, because what I found was it was easier to do all of that when I was just by myself on my own.
Yeah.
And when you're even having a sleep in your own bed,
Yeah.
and it's just easier. But then when you're with someone else and you're trying to fix that routine together, and uh, he doesn't go to bed until late, I wake up really early, those kind of things. And I think for the first 3 months, again, that perfectionism was coming back, and it was like, oh, maybe I have made a mistake. I shouldn't have. I should go back, blah, blah, and all of that self-talk. But I think this is the thing that meditation and mindfulness does. It really makes you aware of
Yeah.
the chatter that is going on, and then you sit with it. And I
Yeah.
think one of my big self-care practices is to pause.
Yeah.
Pause for me is really, really important. And I always use this analogy of, when you're in a rush, walk slowly, because
Yeah.
it's like, you know you're rushing and your thoughts are going, or you're doing something. No,
Yeah.
stop. Just take a minute and then question yourself if this is something that is really needing that speed. And 99% of the times it's
Yeah.
not. So yeah.
And I'm thinking like I literally get tangled up in like my clothing or my limbs if I try rushing. And when you said like just slow down, just pause, and it's like it's something it took me a long time to learn, and I wouldn't have articulated it that beautifully. But it is true that kind of like the abundance of time when we actually are present rather than trying to do all the things. And yeah, it's so I know you've said like when you cut it down, it might just be the meditation, the journaling. If you're traveling, if you're not well, if it could just be one thing, and I always feel evil asking this question, what would be your essential? And I mean, that might change as well.
Yeah, so that's a great question, actually, because when I'm traveling, and which I have to do at least once every few months because of work,
Mm.
I'm never able to do any writing,
Yeah,
because it's just too much time. And also, I'm an introverted extrovert, so
yeah,
I am very chatty when I need to be around people, and like I can, but then I know that it has taken my energy away. So then I
yeah,
immediately have to go back and recharge and plug myself in,
yeah,
back into the socket. So the one thing that definitely is an essential, and no matter what, is the meditation,
yeah,
because even if it's 5 minutes,
yeah.
uh, what it does is it just, the first thing in the morning, I always do it in the morning,
Hmm.
is that it just tells me that, okay, no matter how the day is going to go, some things are going to be beyond my control, um, but it's my self grounding. And
Yeah,
if I get a chance, then maybe, I will walk to the office instead of taking the train, and that would then help
yeah,
with the movement part. But a lot of times the writing and the other bit doesn't really reading also. I'm not
Yeah,
able to find the time to do that. No.
yeah.
Yeah.
And this kind of leads us onto the feel, the love part, the kind of the acceptance, the supporting yourself, the accepting you're part of the divine exactly as you are. Does that help with the perfectionism? Like, what helps you in terms of that uppercase? I mean, I'm sure the meditation helps you connect with that, but is there anything else you want to say about ideal and actual practices there?
So I think again, because there are so many elements of that perfectionism
Yeah,
that still linger
yeah,
in me, I think moving last year has really made me come close to that radical acceptance, because
yeah,
sometimes it's like, okay, this is what I'm going to do today, and these are the top things on my list. But then something else happened, because now it's not just me and my environment here. There are things that have changed.
yeah,
So I still remember that during September and October last year, I did a lot of journaling around acceptance, where every day I would just write that, okay, uh, if I want to stay in silence first thing in the morning and
yeah,
somebody comes in and talks to me, accept it, because
yeah,
that is what is happening in the moment.
yeah,
And the beautiful thing about that also is it makes you realize what you are attached to
yeah,
very, very closely. Like, why am I so attached to this silence? Well,
mm,
I know I love it because it helps me program my brain in a certain way, but if someone comes and just makes small talk, which I'm not enjoying, it's okay, because
yeah,
maybe just being the listener maybe is helping them to
yeah,
just. So there are those kind of things, but I think this is still work in progress for me,
yeah,
because I am still very, very attached to the routine, and it's I think
yeah,
it's a bit of my ADHD brain, because it's like it finds some kind of security
yeah,
in things being a certain way, and
yeah,
and that's okay.
yeah.
It's a process.
Yeah, I'm thinking I did an article on radical acceptance like nearly 2 decades ago, and it changed my life. And I'm thinking the one person I struggled with most then to accept, like most of the time, I'm like, no point arguing with reality, like just kind of as much as possible. But then I will continue to have the same angst over the exact same thing. And it makes me laugh just the whole time because we're human, aren't we? And yeah, it's accepting that humanity rather than, yeah.
Yeah.
What about the collective care, the community, the heal part of the framework?
Sure. So I deeply uh, believe that we are all interconnected,
Absolutely.
100%. We're
Mm.
not. I also believe we're not part of nature. We are nature.
Yes.
Because if we break it down into just the elements and the biological part of our existence, it
Mm,
is we are air, fire, earth, water, space, and consciousness. That's
mm,
what we are. So if I placed a skeleton of somebody from, I don't know, Norway next to someone from Canada, and
mhm.
they are just two skeletons, nobody will be able to. So, of course, I
Yeah.
understand it's just human labels that we have
Yeah.
given things to find certainty. But I think the interconnectedness
Yeah.
is how I can define it as, I think of myself as just a wave on the big ocean. And we
Yeah.
have lots of waves
Yeah.
floating together, trying to make sense of the life that we have at the moment. So the work that I am doing now, the dance, the Bhangra, the meditation teachings I've done with, and it's something that, it's like you do that, and after the session, even if somebody has felt that they were able to forget about their stressful morning, or someone spoke a harsh word to them, and if just by breathing for some time with other people made them forget that, then it makes me very happy,
Mm.
because having suffered from a lot of anxiety myself,
Mhm.
and having known that, it's not at all easy to just sit and breathe for even 5 minutes. I
Yeah,
know that it's
yeah,
a challenge. But if I'm
yeah,
able to help, and by recognizing the interconnectedness of all of our suffering together,
yeah,
then that is what, I think my
yeah,
purpose is then achieved.
yeah. And I'm really conscious in terms of like ADHD and meditation and like yoga, and it's like I know my self-talk has become so much better. When I did the training and all, it was like I was so I'm doing it wrong. I can't I had no idea about the neurodivergence. I knew about the trauma history, and I
Mm.
had some grace around that because it was a trauma-informed training. But I think increasingly now people understand, but I'm aware I shudder to think what I'd be like without my daily meditation and my daily yoga, even if it's just a little yoga. Now I'm going to more regular classes. But I think, like, I know there's a huge spectrum and a huge gulf, but I hear a lot like, oh, don't even bother. Like, my psychiatrist said, if someone suggests mindfulness, tell them to F off. And I was like, I actually teach mindfulness. I shudder to think what I'd be like without it, because it is amazing and it's a much bigger struggle for me than I guess it is. I'm not inside anyone else's brain. But it's that kind of both and, isn't it? Like you have prioritized your practice because it helps you so much. And I think, like, what would you like to say to people who think they can't because of neurodivergence or trauma?
Um, I would like to say that before anybody says they can't,
Yeah,
just give it a go first
yeah.
for 7 days, just
Hmm.
7 days. Because I have come across some students in my
Yeah,
previous practice who would say that they cannot even think of sitting still for
yeah.
even a minute.
Mm.
So, and all I tell them is, don't think about the posture that you have to be in the lotus position, or you
Mm.
have to, no. And you don't have to shut down your thoughts.
Hmm.
Think whatever you like.
Yeah.
Just get rid of everything else. Keep your
Mm.
phone away, keep the screens, everything. Sit. Start with
Yeah.
just a minute. Everybody can sit for just a minute and
Mm.
sit with, think of chocolate, think of anything you like.
Yeah.
But again, the thing with um, the neuroplasticity,
Yeah.
there's so much out there, and I'm not
Yeah.
going to say something that, the other
Mm.
experts have not said already.
Mm.
But the habit formation, the neuroplasticity is that
Mm.
we keep doing something over
Yeah.
and over and over. There will be a day where your brain's going to say, "Why are you not doing it?"
Yes.
That's it.
Yeah.
And initially, it would be like, for example, just to when I quit social media, I
Mm.
was at a point, because obviously I was in deep isolation at the time
Yeah.
of the pandemic, and I was living in a flat by myself. And as I said, my mom was going through a very difficult time.
Mm.
So all of that, and social media gave me that sense of
Yeah.
connection
Yeah.
that I wouldn't have had. But it got to the point where I was having a pseudo
Yeah.
superficial feeling of connection. And when I quit initially, I know this is going to sound funny, but I did have withdrawal symptoms.
No, it doesn't sound funny at all.
I was panicking. I was
Yeah.
journaling about,
Yeah.
like, oh my God, I'm feeling this. I'm not able
Yeah.
to. And there were, I think, twice I went back. I quit
Yeah.
for 10 days, I went back. And then I quit for 2 months, I went back. And what happened was, every time I went back, a few days later, I thought, why am I spending this time doing this? And I knew that for some people, like, they know that they are not on the edge of, oh, I can only be a social drinker. They know that they
Yeah.
have to quit.
Yeah.
And I knew that that was my point, and I had to
Yeah.
leave completely. Um, And there is a beautiful book by Oliver Burkeman called 4,000 Weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Um, he has very cleverly broken down the
Life.
average life into weeks. And when you think about life in weeks, it's like if we are lucky enough to make it to 80, then 4,000 weeks. If we are, I don't know, like if we are only going to be, I think of myself, if let's say my age is going to be till 60, then I have less than 4,000 weeks on this planet. I do not want to waste it by doing something which has no purpose, no meaning. And so I think for anybody thinking that they cannot do it, they should just connect with the why of why they would want to do it in the first place. Because if somebody doesn't want to sit and connect with themselves and do, then there's no point.
Yeah.
Because you can't push something like that on anybody who doesn't want to do it. So, but if someone has the intention and they're finding it quite challenging and difficult, then I would say for 7 days, sit for a minute, sit in a chair, sit on the couch, wherever, doesn't matter, but just detach from everything else and try it.
Yeah. And you're saying that kind of why something in me kind of, and I remember like I started my crystal therapy training. That was the first time I meditated, 2001, and I had a chronic pain condition. So I mean, they have studies around mindfulness being better than opioids for pain relief, but of course when you're in pain you want to be anywhere but present. But from that point I was being told meditate, 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 with the yoga training, the mindfulness, all of it. It was like I knew I should be meditating every day. But it wasn't until I heard John Kabat-Zinn in London in 2013, and there was something about his energy, and he said something, and he said, "No, not you should. This is what works for me." And it was just like this, and I haven't missed a day since. And like it might be short, but it was just that, it's not the should, it's not the have to, it's not the need to, it's the I deserve to. It's that kind of what advice would you love to send back? What love, compassion, care advice would you like to send back to a younger you, if anything?
I wish that I was in a school where we focused on the interconnectedness of everything. And I wish that there was the competition of you should be more like her or more like him didn't exist. Because that made a lot of kids competitive in a way that they ended up chasing, including myself. I say I'm part of that. We ended up chasing the wrong things and competing about the wrong things because the definition of success when I was growing up was, no, you should not be 19 out of 20 in your exams. It needs to be 20 out of 20. Otherwise, you are not valuable. Otherwise, and I think that is very flawed. So if there was one thing I would like my younger self to know is that I was absolutely okay just as I was. I didn't need to do anything else to prove that I was worthy or lovable. So.
Oh, thank you so, so much. Would you mind saying again where people can find you, even though it will be in the show notes?
Sure. Yeah. So I'm on Instagram and it's called Bhangra_Westport.
Wonderful. Thanks a million.
You're welcome.
As you think about this episode, I want you to imagine scanning your whole body, your whole energy field, from the soles of your feet to your soles, and notice what has come up for you as you've listened, as you think about it now. How might you show yourself some extra love, some extra care today, this week? Make some notes, doodle, whatever feels good. And if it feels comfortable and you want to email eve@soulstosoul.ie or comment in any of the comment areas, do feel free. subscribe, rate, review, all the things. But thank you for listening. I'm your host and producer, Eve Menezes Cunningham. Find full links in the show notes and full transcript. And let me know if you have any questions. Really looking forward to joining you again next week, and have a brilliant week.